This one really does have it all. It has insecurity, alcoholism, a toxic friendship, a toxic marriage, literary sabotage, and weird penis stuff. That's right. It's Papa versus Pretty Boy. So welcome back, my idiots, to the messiest corner of the literary world. This is episode 2 of Literary Beeves. Literary Beeves, a series where we don't celebrate the works of great artists. No, that is for my other videos. This is a series where we air their dirty laundry and I show you all of their emotional skid marks.
Nice.
Last episode, linked below, obviously, was some classic bard on bard action with Byron versus Southey. This episode features 2 American literary legends, 2 jazz age icons, and 2 people who probably needed a hug more than all of that absinthe. In one corner, it's Ernest "I Hunt Lions for Therapy" Hemingway versus, in the other corner, F. Scott "Please Like Me Daddy" Fitzgerald. Welcome to Reading for Idiots. This is Tender is the Toxic Masculinity.
Like, share, subscribe.
Round 1. Bromantic beginnings. Italian, not French for some reason. It's 1925. We are in Paris and the lost generation is mid being lost, probably in some bar somewhere. F. Scott Fitzgerald is 29 years old and he is fresh off the publication of The Great Gatsby. It hasn't sold well yet, but F. Scott Fitzgerald is still the guy. He is critically admired. He is rich, adjacent, he's magazine famous, and he's married to Chaos Demon. We'll get to her later, Zelda Sayer. Ernest Hemingway, meanwhile, is 5 years younger. In 1925, he's still as yet unpublished, and he's living off his first wife's, because he's had 4 wives. He's living off his wife, Hadley Richardson's trust fund, and he's still trying to invent modern prose by punching his typewriter. They end up meeting through their literary connections. It's probably Gertrude Stein or in some cocktail-soaked salon somewhere à Paris.
Oui, oui, baguette.
And for a while, c'est l'amour. Ils sont instant drinking buddies. 2 men, 1 cup. Sorry, different video. 2 men, 1 Paris, absolutely 0 healthy coping mechanisms. And they got tight fast. Fitzgerald even puts in a good word with his editor at Scribner's, Maxwell Perkins. Yes, that's his actual name. Et voilà, un an plus tard, Hemingway gets his first novel published in 1926, The Sun Also Rises. And that changes everything. Round 2, weird penis stuff. Seriously. Let's psychoanalyze for a minute here, qualified as we are. Fitzgerald was a mess. Famously, sure, he was self-conscious not only about his writing, but also about himself. He was a chronic overthinker, overdrinker, and he just rewrote, like paralytically a perfectionist. Fitzgerald was also generous, though, as already demonstrated. He was a loyal man, and he wanted so badly to be liked. He believed in art, capital A, and friendship. Hemingway, the mountain of masculinity that he was, he also believed in art. But he definitely placed more stock in the virtue of truth, like capital T truth, and courage. That doesn't need a capital, war-hardened as he was, but he still secretly probably cried at a matinee once in a while. I'm getting strong, charismatic, golden retriever, and emotionally retarded. Let's try that again. Charismatic, golden retriever, and emotionally arrested Doberman vibes. Look, these two weren't just literary bros. They were the last people they saw before passing out and the first people they saw when throwing up in the toilet at 5 a.m. By all accounts, especially in the beginning, in each other, these two found kindred spirits. And yeah, more is made of Fitzgerald being vulnerable with or opening up to Hemingway, but that's not to say it didn't happen the other way around. It's just harder to imagine Hemingway being all liberal with his feelings like that. You know, they spoke about everything. Like Fitzgerald spoke about Zelda, their marriage, money, writing, his mental state, and now, infamously, he also confided in Hemingway about his cock. He told Hemingway how Zelda told him, her husband, the chaos demon, that his cock was too small to satisfy a woman. So what do you think Hemingway did? No, not that, although I wouldn't put it past him. Of all the ways Hemingway reacted to his ride or die getting his cock called unsatisfying by his wife, Hemingway fucking marches Fitzgerald down to the Louvre and together they compare his dick to the dicks on the Greek statues. You know, the ones that weren't lopped off by Paul IV or Pius IX or Clement VIII or Clement XIV. Seriously, I thought popes loved dicks. This is not a metaphor. This is literal. Hemingway reassured Fitzgerald about the size of his penis by marching him down to the Louvre and comparing his manhood to those of the statues of Greek gods. This is documented. Kind of badass, if you ask me. Anyway, the conclusion was, don't worry about it, bruv. You're good. We're good. She's gaslighting you. Don't ever bring this up again. But let's put a pin in this moment because several decades later, we could say Hemingway gaslit the gaslighted victim. Gaslighted the gaslit victim. Round 3. Calling Zelda the Yoko Ono of this duo is a little bit unfair on Yoko Ono. By all accounts, admittedly, some of them Hemingway's, Zelda was a manipulative banshee. I mean, yeah, she had bipolar disorder and it was undiagnosed at the time. And yes, she clashed with Fitzgerald's ambitions. And yes, allegedly, one time she interrupted Fitzy mid-writing sesh to demand he come look at her new hat. Jeez. And yes, of course, Hemingway hated her. To Hemingway, Zelda wasn't just a jealous and petty manipulative banshee. He actually thought that she wanted to destroy Fitzgerald's talents, which is not that surprising because Hemingway's opinion generally on women was that, and I quote, they ruin men. Although this could have been because of Zelda. Either way, Hemingway told Fitzgerald straight up that he would never write another good sentence as long as he stayed with her. Which, I guess, is kind of true? Controversial? I don't know. Name me another F. Scott Fitzgerald book and don't say Franny and Zoe. Just to balance things out. Zelda was a lot, but blaming her for Fitzy's downward spiral is kind of like blaming the sea for a shipwreck with neither crew nor compass. I think what chafed Hemingway's big hairy balls the most was that Fitzy actually loved Zelda and listened to Zelda, insufferable, temperamental, erratic though she may have been, and his writing suffered because of it. Round 4, literary murder. So, time passes, and Fitzgerald is descending deeper into the bottle, and creatively, he's constipated. Again, name me another great book that he wrote. Hemingway, on the other hand, his stock just keeps on rising. Like, he's won a Pulitzer Prize, he won a Nobel Prize, he even had a cocktail named after him, the Hemingway Daiquiri. So the character Robert Cohn from The Sun Also Rises aside, actually no, let's go there quickly. The Sun Also Rises, 1926, published with Fitzgerald's help, Hemingway's first book, Maxwell Perkins, remember? So Robert Cohn, a major character in The Sun Also Rises, is generally considered to be Fitzgerald. He's insecure, he's romantic, he's clumsy, he's unwanted, and he is perpetually the third wheel, and also he's kind of like perpetually bullied by the more masculine characters, i.e. Jack Barnes, i.e. Ernest Hemingway, and no doubt Ernest Hemingway, the writer, would say it was all the truth. So that aside, Hemingway writes years later his memoirs of his time in Paris. It's called A Movable Feast and was published posthumously in 1964. And you'd think that he would remember fondly his good friend. Or maybe he actually did in his weird little way while honoring truth and art. But let's go back to that pin we placed earlier. Don't worry about it, bruv. You're good. We're good. She's gaslighting you. Don't ever bring this up again. Don't ever bring this up again. Well, in A Movable Feast, Hemingway not only paints Fitzgerald as a weak and emasculated, generally pathetic, whiny artist who's controlled by Zelda and constantly seeking Hemingway's masculine alpha advice. Hemingway also includes the weird penis incident, TMI, an unnecessary detail.
Yeah.
But it's so well written, which just somehow makes it worse. And what makes it even more worse, what makes it worser, is that in A Movable Feast, Hemingway also describes how he loved his Fitzy like a brother. So let me just read this for you. Raise me up. Okay. Well, shit. Okay. I did not know Zelda yet, and so I did not know the terrible odds that were against him, but I loved him, and I pitied him, and I was sure that he could write as well as he ever could. If he could write a book as fine as The Great Gatsby, I was sure he could write as fine a book again, and I would help him all I could. I loved him like a brother. Fitzgerald spilled his soul to Ernest Hemingway, and Hemingway spilt ink, and inks forever. Round 5, Tender is the Toxic Masculinity. Before A Movable Feast was even published, which somehow makes this even worse, Fitzgerald was spiraling hard. Zelda was in and out of mental hospitals, but Fitzy was broke. He was fucking living out of hotels, okay? And he was writing shitty screenplays for Hollywood just to make ends meet. And at the age of 44, in 1940, believing that he was a washed-up failure, believing that he was a failed, third-rate artist, believing this, F. Scott Fitzgerald died of a heart attack. Hemingway, of course, goes on to be a war hero. He's won all the awards. He's basically a living icon, and yet still he too is drinking himself to death. He's seeking thrills that are more and more extreme to the point where he sustained multiple brain injuries, and he's also been in plane crashes. Yes, plural, and not just in the war either. And that whole hunting lion shtick, he actually did that. And then in Idaho, in 1961, when he was 61 years old, Ernest Hemingway took his own life with a shotgun. Let's just put the petty point scoring and the who got the better zingers to one side for a moment. I mean, for the record though, it was clearly Ernest Hemingway on both counts. These two men, F. Scott Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway, shaped 20th century literature, and they gave us prose that just bites and bleeds and still echoes to this day. And they exhausted themselves for their art, their brilliance, and they self-destructed because of that and because of them. Not to be all like kitsch, but the real winner of this literary beef is us. That's it. A beef made of literary betrayals, fragile egos, a friendship that really deserved better, and a literal dick measuring contest. I mean, as far as literary beefs go, it doesn't get more intimate than this. Thanks for watching to the end. You know, if you like this video, give me a sub, give me a like, comment down below who do you want to see next, and yeah, put this in your work Slack channel or just scream into the void, I love your videos! Maybe I'll hear you. Whatever works, really. But yeah, who should we see next? Do we want like Virginia Woolf versus Arnold Bennett, or Pope versus Swift? Jonathan Swift, Alexander Pope, not the Pope and Taylor Swift. Although I'd love to see those two face off in the octagon, wouldn't you? Bret Easton Ellis versus Staying Relevant. New videos every Wednesday, live readings on the weekends. This has been Reading for Idiots. And remember, never, ever trust a man who invites you to go to the Louvre.
Like, share, subscribe.